The fact that The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild recently turned 3 years old really snuck up on me. That moment when I first entered the ruined Kingdom of Hyrule feels like yesterday. The game is absolutely phenomenal. Whilst it's not my favourite Zelda game overall, it's definitely my favourite in terms of the lore, secrets, attention to detail, and mysteries hidden away within the massive Kingdom of Hyrule. From the get-go back in 2017, myself and many other Zelda fanatics have been finding mysteries and theorizing about characters, locations, and details within the game, and that's primarily down to just how thorough and impressive this iteration of Hyrule is. The developers put in an astronomical amount of work to Breath of the Wild's world, and they still have leftover ideas, which is largely a part of their reason for creating the upcoming sequel. Fanboying about the game aside, those previously mentioned mysteries and secrets are still being discovered to this day, and recently, whilst playing the game, I discovered a mystery that left me bewildered. The Lonely Goddess Statue. In the raw heart of the Akkala region lays a single goddess statue, isolated on top of a rocky platform island high over a flooded landmass, only accessible by a narrow and rocky natural bridge. If, like the majority of players, you took on the From the Ground Up side quest, where Link assists Bolson in creating a brand new town called Terrytown, you will know that this goddess statue acts as the goddess statue for that town, and honestly fits right into Terrytown once the town is complete, as it's right in the centre of town. But Terrytown is a new, post-calamity settlement. This goddess statue was here before it, standing alone and suspended in the heart of Akkala. But why? Why is there a goddess statue here when there clearly was no settlement before the establishment of Terrytown? Was there a village here before the colossal boulders we see? Was it moved from a certain location? Or is it possibly not meant to be here at all? In today's video, we are going to dive into the depths of this mystery and come to a conclusion on why this goddess statue stands alone and out of reach from society. Firstly, we must understand the relevance of the statue's location and surroundings. The exact location is here on the map, right in the heart of the autumn-inspired Akkala region. It's suspended high up on this natural rock platform, which towers over a small body of water. When I first played Breath of the Wild and explored this area of Akkala, I thought there was a village of the past in these shallows, similar to the fate other villages like Dea Village of Central Hyrule met during the Great Calamity due to overwhelming flooding. After closer inspection, it actually appears to be more roads and paths, along with some wrecked carriages, which would make sense if it was roads, as we see wrecked carriages scattered across paths all over the kingdom. On the platform itself is nothing more than some massive rocks and a little bit of vegetation, meaning nothing has been up here for some time, or potentially at all. Nothing but the goddess statue. Looking at the bigger picture of the full Akkala region, it's located out of the way from the few settlements the region has, as Akkala isn't a highly populated region when we find it, and it wasn't before the Calamity either. Breath of the Wild's masterwork shows us the most populated areas in Hyrule pre-Calamity. The only real settlements nearby are the East Akkala Stable and the Akkala Tech Lab, which in the past was a lighthouse. The only other settlements of sorts would be the Akkala Citadel, which pre-Calamity was a mighty fortress of defense. It's likely that some of the kingdom's knights stayed within the citadel for periods of time, acting as barracks for them to live in. This begs that big question: why is it there? We don't know a huge amount about the goddess statues, but from the little information we can find, we know that they date back to the events of Skyward Sword when they first appeared. They originate from the original Statue of the Goddess, a colossal statue built to honour Hylia, who saved her people from certain death prior to the events of Skyward Sword. We don't actually see any goddess statues after Skyward Sword until Breath of the Wild, but that does tell us the honour towards Goddess Hylia has lived on for millennia upon millennia from the beginning of the Zelda timeline to the current end of the timeline. We know the people of Hyrule seen in Breath of the Wild take honouring Hylia seriously, as every major settlement has their own goddess statue, all deep within their respective settlements, ensuring accessibility to all. There isn't a single major settlement in the game that doesn't have a miniature goddess statue within the actual settlement. We know that the Akkala region doesn't have any major settlements, other than the Citadel, which is now in ruin. There are a few important things to mention here which will segue us into the theory on this mystery. The first thing that jumps out to me is, what about the Spring of Power? We know it plays a somewhat significant role in the events prior to Breath of the Wild, as Princess Zelda went there several times during her training. It houses a full-sized goddess statue opposed to the miniature versions found in settlements. It also has its own structure. Along with that, it's also a lot closer to the residents of the Akkala region, so could they have prayed there? Well, probably not. You see, whilst the springs do hold goddess statues, it's likely that they were only for Princess Zelda or other members of the royal family. I believe this because one of the residents of the East Akkala stable, Nobo, tells Link that the spring is a sacred place, and judging by the way she talks about the spring, does suggest that it's either no longer used or was never used by the general public. It would make sense if the three springs were off bounds to the public because of how big a role they play in the princess's training. Perhaps the royal family wanted to avoid any possible disruptions. Even if the Spring of Power was open to the public, it would further beg the question of why is there a goddess statue out in isolation? It just doesn't make sense. This mystery has honestly had me puzzled from the moment I found out about it, but there are still some possibilities to discuss. One possibility I had considered was what I mentioned briefly earlier in the video. Could there have once been a settlement within the local area? We know there definitely wasn't any structures on the island platform itself, but there is a small chance that there was once a village or city below it, surrounding the platform. As mentioned, there is no signs of a pre-calamity settlement here, but we do need to consider that Breath of the Wild takes place the furthest down the timeline at the moment, meaning there could have been something here long before the events of the Calamity and Breath of the Wild. There isn't much evidence to back this, so take it with a grain of salt. Another possibility I thought of is, what if it was moved here? We have seen the goddess statues being moved around in the series before, most notably the statue of the goddess Hylia descending from the skies to the surface at the end of Skyward Sword. Could it be possible that it was originally elsewhere in the world? Perhaps inside the Akkala Citadel? The thinking behind that idea is that the knights serving the royal family in protecting Hyrule likely lived within the Citadel itself, meaning for potentially long periods of time they wouldn't be leaving the Citadel, at most walking around the outside of the fortress. When the Calamity devastated Hyrule, it's possible that the gods moved the statue to a safe and isolated location nearby as the Citadel went up in flames under the attack of the corrupt Guardians. I believe this could genuinely be a possibility due to how sacred the statues are, and when something is sacred in the Zelda series, the gods have been known to step in. It's also possible that it was located within Hyrule Castle, which really took a beating during the Great Calamity, so it could have been moved from there as well, but from Hyrule Castle to the heart of the Akkala region is a bit of a distance. The only other possibility I can think of is that sometime before the events of Breath of the Wild, Hylia sealed a mortal into this goddess statue. How is that possible, you ask? Well, you see, in Hateno Village, we can find the Horned Statue. This shadow opposite of the goddess statues is an ancient demon who in times long ago made Faustian deals, which is basically another way of saying making deals with the devil. The demon did this in order to obtain a longer life and or wealth. Hylia didn't approve of those antics and sealed the demon into what is known now as the Horned Statue found in Hateno Village. If Hylia has the ability to seal people into statues, what's to say she couldn't do that to those of pure hearts and good intentions as well, and turn them into goddess statues? It's a real shot in the dark and more just a bit of a fan theory of mine, but what if, long ago, there was someone so pure that when they reached a grand old age, Hylia allowed them to live forever by sealing them as a goddess statue. If it's none of those three possibilities, then honestly, I have no idea. Most discussions or theories I cover tend to have a definitive answer, or at least a solid idea, but with this, I honestly do not know why it was here. I wouldn't normally end a video answerless, but I enjoy reading your comments and creating a discussion, so what do you think? Why is there a lonely goddess statue out in the middle of the Akkala region? Feel free to leave a comment with your thoughts, theories, and ideas regarding this mystery. The mystery of the lonely goddess statue. Thanks a ton for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this look into what is possibly one of Breath of the Wild's biggest mysteries. If you did, be sure to drop a like down below and subscribe for more Zelda content. I look forward to reading your thoughts on the matter. Big thank you to all of my Patreon supporters for your amazing and generous support. You really do help me in doing what I do here on YouTube, so thank you all so much. Again, I hope you all enjoyed the video, and until the next time, I've been Hyrule Gamer.